Hello, my name is Cami Schaefer, and I am one of the money coaches here at OU. Hopefully you've heard about the Mid-First Bank Money Coach program. If you haven't, as a student of the University of Oklahoma, you have a money coach assigned to you. This is your money coach that you can talk to about how you're going to pay for school and to build lifelong money management skills. Today, I'm going to be talking about money management. I want you to think about all the reasons why it is important to learn how to manage your money. It is so important because it is a skill that you are not born knowing. It is a skill that you have to learn and develop as you grow. What percentage of lottery winners waste their winnings within a few years? It's actually 70%. That is a large portion of lottery winners wasting their winnings. And it's just because people with no money skills often make poor financial choices regardless of how much money they have. So just because you have a lot of money all of a sudden doesn't make you good with money. Just like when you graduate with your degree from the University of Oklahoma and you have that first full-time income, doesn't mean you're going to automatically be good with money, and it doesn't mean your money problems are going to go away. Again, money management is a skill that you have to learn and develop. So when we talk about money management, we really need to talk about the basics of budgeting. We break down budgeting into 3 steps. First, save. Second, pay for your necessary expenses or your needs. And then lastly, spend your leftover money on your wants. The problem is most people mix up steps 1 and 3. On payday, they go treat themselves, and then they say, okay, whatever money is left over at the end of the month, I'm going to put that into savings. And then they spend all the money, they have no money left over to put into savings. So we want you to think about making it step number 1, where it's your first priority. You can do this by setting up direct deposit, where money is going directly into your checking account and going into your savings account. So you don't even have to think about it on payday. It's automatically done for you. And as a college student, we know you don't have a lot of extra money. So you could just start small, something that you're comfortable with, and then you can build from there. It's more about establishing the habit so that when you graduate and you're making more money, you can increase what you're saving and potentially investing each month. When we're talking about the budget, we do have to go over the basics. Your income is your money coming in, your expenses, that's the money going out, okay? The key to financial wellness is to spend less than you make. In other words, your expenses should not exceed your income, which is very difficult to do, especially if you're not keeping track of what you're spending. We highly recommend that you have some kind of process of tracking your expenses, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or an app or a pencil and paper. Find some way that it works for you to track your expenses, because if you don't know where your money is going, you don't even know if you're sticking to your budget. When you develop your budget, you're basically creating categories of spending, and you're assigning dollar amounts to those categories. So for example, if you have a category of shopping, you could say, okay, I'm allowed to spend this amount shopping, or this amount going out with friends, or this amount with eating out, groceries, whatever it is. You just assign these different categories of spending, and then you would try to stick to those categories, but you need to track every time you spend money, you need to log it so you know how well you're doing. I use an Excel spreadsheet. Here's an example of an Excel spreadsheet. This one, it has a place for income, different saving goals. Again, you can set that up automatically for payday, and then fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are expenses that do not change month to month. So rent, car payment, insurance, subscriptions, those are fixed expenses that you could just copy and paste each month. Variable expenses do change every month. Maybe you want to put in your utilities in this area at the top, because utilities, although they are somewhat the same each month, they do fluctuate. And then you have those different categories of spending that I talked about earlier. Maybe you have a gasoline budget of $200, because that's about how much you spend in gasoline a month. Or Maybe you use about $60 to $80 in cash from the ATM each month. Just make sure you're logging it so you know where the money is going. Maybe you want to use an app. Maybe an Excel spreadsheet doesn't work for you, or you want to use a pencil and paper. That's fine too. These are 3 apps that we highly recommend. They are free. We have money coaches that use all 3 of these apps. However, there are a lot of great apps out there that are not listed here that are free. So this is a great time to practice budgeting and using different apps. Spending money now that you don't have will cost you much more later in the form of interest. When you borrow money from someone or an institution, you have to pay that back. And financial institutions, whether it's a credit card company or a bank, they're going to charge you interest, all right? So you have to pay it back plus interest. Well, what does that really look like? In case you don't know, credit card interest rates tend to range between 15 and 30%. So in this example, it's like 21%, so very average. When you get the credit card bill in the mail, you're going to see your entire balance due. So how much did you charge on your credit card? And then you're also going to see a minimum payment due. This is how much you have to pay in order to stay in good standing with the credit card company. So let's say an emergency pops up, you don't have a savings account and you get a credit card, you use the credit card, okay? So the entire balance due is $2,200. When you're making the minimum payment, you're only paying about 1% of the balance. The rest is going towards the interest. So if you just made this minimum payment, which would probably be about $40 a month, it's going to take you 16.5 years to pay it off and pay over $3,000 in interest. Now, if you could come up with some extra money, more than just the minimum payment, maybe $100 a month, it would only take you 2.4 years to pay it off, and you only pay $600 in interest. So if your back is against the wall and you do find yourself in credit card debt, at least don't make the minimum payment, pay extra towards your debt to get out of debt faster and to pay less in interest. Same thing goes with student loans. If you find yourself in student loan debt, make extra payments to get out of debt faster and to pay less in interest. But there's also things you could do to minimize what you're borrowing while you're here at OU. The average OU student borrows the full amount from the federal government for all 4 years, so $27,000. And because interest accrues while you're in college on the unsubsidized loans, your balance is actually going to be higher by the time you graduate. So let's say you graduate with $30,000 in student loan debt and you're in the federal standard repayment plan of 10 years, your repayment is going to be about $300 a month for 10 years. You're going to pay almost $9,000 in interest. So we really want you to minimize the amount that you're borrowing. One way to do that is only borrow what you need and not what you can. Just because you're being offered the student loan, if you don't need it, don't take it. There are other ways to minimize your student loan debt while you're here. One would be to apply for scholarships. The OU Cash application opened up October 1st and closes February 1st every year for our current students. You can apply for scholarships that are need-based, merit-based, leadership, departmental, college-specific, and then also just a bunch of random scholarships. So fill out the general application, and then it's going to send you opportunities that you need to apply for. You can also apply for financial aid. You're hoping to get grants. This is free money that you don't have to pay back. In order to get financial aid, you need to complete the FAFSA every year on October 1st. Now, if you're Pell Grant eligible, meaning you received a Pell Grant, you might be eligible for other grants, maybe the SEOG grant or the OTAG, but you don't know unless you complete that FAFSA application as close to October 1st as possible, because some of those grants are first come, first served. And if you're Pell Grant eligible, you could be potentially eligible for these other grants, and you don't want to miss out on that opportunity because you took too long to complete your FAFSA. This is also a way for OU to see if you are eligible for any need-based scholarships. So please complete your FAFSA every single year. We also want you to graduate on time. Here at OU, we have flat rate tuition. You are paying for 30 credit hours every year. We want you to think 30. We want you to use 30 hours every year so that you're more likely to graduate on time. This is the best way to save yourself money. If you have to come back an extra 5th or 6th year, you are paying extra in tuition and fees and you're not earning that full-time income. So please take advantage of your flat rate tuition. Take at least 30 credit hours, if not more. You can do this by taking intersession classes or summer classes. And of course, avoid credit card debt, avoid overspending because the interest can really add up. Another way to minimize student loan debt is to work part-time. Undergraduate students who work part-time in college tend to have higher GPAs than students who don't work at all, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we definitely want you to work part-time, and we mean like 10 to 15 hours. If you want to apply for a job, you can go to jobs.ou.edu to apply for them. If you are already working and you're working more than 25 hours a week or more, please reach out to a money coach to talk about the work assistance tuition waiver. This is for students who are working 25 hours a week or more to help pay for tuition. It's a partial tuition waiver, but we really want you to meet with a money coach and go over the details about that. If you want to learn more, whether it's about budgeting, investing, taxes, building credit, the work assistance tuition waiver, flat rate tuition, you can meet with a money coach. Please follow us on social media. We give financial tips. We let you know about important financial due dates. We host workshops where we teach students about different financial literacy topics, and we give away a $500 scholarship at each one of those. So you can learn more about that on our social media or our website. You can make an appointment with your money coach and I advise, and we have a lot of resources on our website. So please check these out. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me to learn more about money. Have a great day.